Hello everybody. Right, for those of you that don't know the channel, I just want to do a little quick one, which a little explanation of the way this happened. I'm a self-employed courier driver. I started about 3 years ago with my own Luton with a tail lift. I run on a thing called the Courier Exchange, which is kind of like Uber for van drivers. I did it in a van first, and then I fell in with a partnership with a guy, and then we got a business, and now I'm running trucks. But I also do these videos. I've just started doing them, and it's designed to help other courier drivers. And as a result of the channel's gone up, and I was contacted by a firm called Circuit. And Circuit said, "Can you also make videos for our channel too? We'll pay you. Could you do the videos?" And I checked it. I said, "Well, yeah, but I want to check it out first." So I checked it out, and I've got to say, I'm very pleased to say, I think it's excellent. I think it's the best multi-drop courier app out there, which was dead handy because I didn't want to put my name to something if I didn't think it was any good. It's a little bit dearer than you pay for some of the other ones, but in my opinion, it's the Rolls Royce. And I now do videos for their channel, which I'll do a link to there. And there's more videos, but they're more designed at what I suppose I would call multi-drop, not light haulage. What we tend to do is light haulage. So the most you're going to drop in a day is about 8 bits. Whereas we're talking about drops of in excess of 140, 200, 250 a day. And then I thought, well, look, I always say you're better off with, like, in my opinion, not doing the multi-drop as you would class it, like the big multi-drops. And then it occurred to me, well, I'm doing these videos for this firm, and every time, as a truck driver, I do deliver to like distribution centres, and I do go into Amazon, and I do go into Hermes, I did a stint working for Argos, which is it's not quite the same thing, but it's the kind of the same thing. And every time I go to these centres, these people are actually quite happy. So, and every time that someone drops to me, and we've got, obviously, I'm a delivery driver, I order stuff from, Amazon comes to my house, and I know a couple of guys, and they're happy. And I'm thinking, well, rather than me just keep going, you want to do this, would be wise for me to actually ask people out there that have got genuine experiences that have worked there or are still working there. And so if you would be kind enough to stick it in writing, and then what I'll do is I'll just read it out to anyone who's thinking about joining or anyone who's thinking about going down this route, and you can hear some genuine experiences of people that have worked for these firms. So I've got a few little short ones first, but then what we've got later, right, it just going back on, we've got bigger ones to come, which is like much more in depth. So just bear with me to start with your piece and guide. Firstly, C11 Yan says, he said, take Pete's advice, jump on a CX and a long wheelbase, extra long wheelbase. Prices are up 30% at least. You'll be taking more money. CR says, no to Hermes, jump on a CX. So these people that have done the Hermes, done the Amazon, they say the CX is the way forward. Anonymous says, rule 1, if they make it no barrier to entry, they can pay a pittance. And Jacob White says, if a job doesn't have a genuine PAYE option, 9 times out of 10 it's a scam. More so with the big companies. I think this is kind of the problem, the fact that if you want to go to work for Amazon, if you want to go to work for Hermes, they'll take you straight away. They give you the insurance. If you're covered under their insurance, got a van, you've got a van, got your insurance, you can go to work. If you want to join a CX, you've actually got to, you rent the app. And last time I heard, some guy turned around and said to me just this week, it's £1,600 a year for the app. So you will be making more money on the CX, but if you haven't got that money and you want to try and do the courier thing, and you want to get some experience, and also you won't get the money for the app back, an argument can be made just to try and jump on Hermes or Amazon to start with. It is like baptism by fire. If you can do it, then you can run on the CX and you'll be making more money and it'll be easier. But it will give you, it's a good way to learn really quickly. Domain name guy says, multi-drop should have its own license category. Not everyone could do multi-drop. There should be some kind of card, some kind of exam to complete. He also said many drivers who currently work for the parcel companies and have done for years have had to gone self-employed, and as a result of which have lost their rounds. So, but again, that doesn't actually help us. Thanks, mate. But this is more about people that think about joining. But I do appreciate your comments, nevertheless. Jason Burke says, Uncle Jason, he comments all the time. He said, last year I thought about Hermes. I spoke to them. They offered me 50p a parcel with approximately 50 parcels to deliver. So that's £25 for doing in my own vehicle. And he said, no thanks. So, but I think if you're going to do the multi-drop, you're going to go for it. You prepare yourself for hard work. You're going to have to do 200, 250 parcels a day to make it pay. But if you do that kind of parcels, I believe that there is money to be made. Anyway, Ian Merrick says, another regular subscriber, hey mate, he says, I worked for Hermes for 12 months in 2018, 2019 with a Ford Fiesta and a 540 litre bag, roof bag. 6 days a week, netted a maximum of £1,600 a month. He said he wasn't happy with them. He said, you know, they had issues with kids and all that kind of stuff in the actual, in the warehouse, I think. He says, however hard you work, the minute someone turns up prepared to do, if you want to go 5 days a week, the minute someone turns up to do 6, you're gone. He says some courier drivers on other rounds had to employ people so they can have time off. Now, I've heard this also, that if you want to take holiday, if you want to have a day off, you can't just go and go, and they say, well, you need someone to cover you around. And it's your problem finding someone to cover you around. If you don't find someone to cover you around, they give it to somebody else. Clive told me that, and he's done it as well. Hello, mate. He says, why do people do it? He says, desperation, I suspect. Age discrimination is well documented. In the UK, there's 30,000 people are displaced annually from employment. He says, he says, getting wider all the time. He says, Amazon is better organised, but their employment practices are appalling. I no longer even shop at Amazon. Okay, well that's like I say, that's Ian's take on it. Ren Bell says, I will be honest, was a Hermes courier for 18 months as a subcontractor. Through all the time there was nothing to organise your time as you want. You were always forced to take extra areas to cover. My record was 486 stops in one day. That's a pile of stops. Now I'm going to say it, and I've said it before, if you're going to do the multi-drop, particularly for the first time, get yourself a decent app. I recommend Circuit. It's really good, but that it will make your life so much easier once you get the hang of things. Once you get a regular round, once you know where you're going, it's still useful, but it's not as essential. But when you start, please do it. Otherwise, trying to find Rose Cottage in the night, man, trying to work out where the box is in the back, it'll drive you mental. He said, I was having to work 6 days a week, one Sunday a month, so sometimes it was 13 days in a row. Then loading and sorting parcels depends on the depot you're in. It can be that you will load and sort under the roof or under the sky. Weather conditions not existing. So what he's saying is sometimes, and I've seen them, sometimes they load indoors, sometimes they load outdoors. If you're loading outdoors, it's raining, you're getting wet. And you've got to get them parcels in quick. You can't deliver wet parcels. Even if a parcel is soaked, you have to deliver it. If a parcel went missing after a delivery completed, you had to pay for it out of your own pocket. If someone would ask you why I stayed with Hermes for so long, even if it was nothing good, the answer is simple. Was having a really good relationship with all my customers in the BN16, the BN14 postcode area, and it was thanks to them. And I hear this a lot as well. Also, it's like, it's horrible at first. It's really hard at first, but once you get the hang of it, and also once they give you like a regular route and you get to know people, it's kind of like being a postman. It's not so bad. So again, this is baptism by fire. This is doing it the hard way. But once you've done it for a little while, as long as you can sort of, it's like they're like the paras of the delivery firm. Once you know the others have fallen by the wayside, and you know where you're going, and you know what you're doing. They go, we're going to give you this route. I believe it gets easier. I'm not saying it gets easy. I'm saying it gets easier. And again, this is only what I infer from the things that you people have been kind enough to part with. Craig MCG125 says, I was he was working DPD for 3 years. I chose to work 13 days and have 1 day back. In an average, it's 100 stops mostly. That's not, I mean, I've done 80, so it's not, 100 is kind of doable. 10 to 12 hour days. Not all of them are tiny packets like you get for Amazon. I didn't realise the pressure I was under. He said I was earning 6k plus VAT. Lockdown 1 and 2 were the best financially busiest time, 8k plus VAT for an average 4 weekly period. The van worked out to be 1,200 quid plus VAT plus fuel. And then he says fuel 500, and the van worked out 1,200 plus VAT, and the fuel was 500 plus VAT. So much pressure keeping to the 60-minute windows, keeping precise deliveries in time, and collecting ad hoc collection. But I loved it. But it's not a job; it's a lifestyle. Worked very hard, saved even harder, bought a van, left the stress behind, and now I'm truly self-employed and I choose what I do and where I go. So he's saying exactly what everybody else seems to say, which is the courier exchange or other kinds of working self-employed van driver are better, But sometimes you can't just jump on it straight away. Sometimes if you want to go with the Hermes and the Hermes, and it's one of those things where you'll look back and you'll go, can't believe I've done that. That's exactly what Clive said. He's on the CX now, and he said, I can't believe I've done it for so long. He said, I didn't. He's kind of like institutionalised. But, you know, again, no one said it's awful. They've just said it's hard. Other people to comment here. Addy the Real Slim Shady. He said, I worked for Amazon for 5 years till January 20. You either click it or you don't. It's a very high pressure job with anything from 140 to 200 drops plus a day. And the other thing I will say about Amazon, and maybe Hermes and Hermes and Parcel Force in comparison to the Argos, you have got a lot more drops, but they do seem to be in a much smaller area. When I was doing the Argos, I might do like, sometimes I would go 20 minutes. I think I have done an hour where I dropped at one place, then had to go and do a drop an hour away, and then come back again. And it strikes me, Amazon, your chances are you might have 10 drops, and they might still be in the same. They might all be in the same cul-de-sac. He said I was running around in circles, sometimes down the same street more than once, because all that matters to them is how long you're on the road. Not for the customer getting their parcel quickly. Again, I know I'm going to go on about it. Get yourself a decent multi-drop app. It will optimise your route, and that way, I had it with the Parcel Force. I dropped one parcel at like 10 o'clock in the morning, and at 2 o'clock in the morning I'm dropping another one. I look across the road and I go, there's that shop. I was here 4 hours ago. If you get a decent route optimizer, it will cut your time in half, because you go bing, 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 bing. Unless you have to deliver in a timed order, get yourself a decent route optimizer. If you're going to do this multi-drop, it's vital. There we go. What was we up to? Running around in circles. He said you can earn very good money, but you have to work extremely hard for it running in and out of your van every couple of doors, 10 hours. He said it does keep you fit. Since I've left, I've incorporated a lunch break. They've incorporated a lunch break into the route, which you must take and cannot skip, whereas before you could work through your lunch, and sometimes I would not even go. He said I wouldn't even go to the toilet for the whole day. He said I jumped on the CX, which can be the same money but 3 jobs a day. Like Pete says, it's only April through to December, so you have to earn enough money to keep going through January to March. Personally, I would not recommend Amazon, as they don't care about you, or as you at all, as there is always more recruits out there. I'm going to say the CX, you can still make money January through to March. You don't make as much money. It goes a lot quieter, but you can. There is the other advantage with the Amazon and the Hermes thing, which is you know how much you're going to get. Which is, you know, they'll give you parcels, and then by the end of the 4 weeks, they'll go, that's how much money you've made, and the following week it goes in your bank. With the CX, you've got to have the app. You're going to wait to get paid. And sometimes you wait a long time to get paid. Not only do you need the money for the app, you also need about 2 months worth of scratch, so that you can actually run for 2 months before the invoice is coming. So again, it may be the reason that a lot of people choose to do the multi-drop thing. But I'm going to go, we've still got more here. John Holmes, he says, hi Pete, I'm a multi-drop driver for Amazon, have been for 5 years. The way it works with Amazon is you have lots of companies that work on behalf of Amazon. These are called DSPs, and they pay, and the pay rate varies between them. The money is good, but you'll work hard. You will work hard. You do 9-hour routes generally without a break, and there isn't time to cost is around £200 a week for van rental and insurances. To make money, I would recommend having your own van and insurance, but use their rental to start with, as it's a good way to see if it's for you. Once again, it strikes me, if you're thinking about being a courier driver, you can start. I would always say try and keep your overheads low. I always say buy your own van, but if you're not sure about it, if they'll give you a chance to test it, and then you can see what's best for you. You might go, I'm going to start in a big van, get in a big van and go, I can't get around these streets, I've got nowhere to park. And then when you buy the van, you'll buy the right one. So it's good advice there, John. Thank you. Godzilla's another regular subscriber. He said the good stuff. Question mark. He says you get into a rhythm of knocking the parcels out, and it becomes satisfying on its own. The same run every day means you get really good at an area really quickly. A job well done is a good job in so many ways. You find pleasure in the daft little things, like finding the perfect hiding hole, dog kennel, greenhouse, for example, getting the perfect stopping spot. making it to the chippy before it closes. Small mercies. You also find friendly faces such as Doris at number 32, who will take half the street's parcels as it becomes someone to chat to in a day, which otherwise you might not speak to on herself for a week. It's quite nice, that, isn't it? Kind of like, helping the community. I'm a fan of that. You look after the odd. You look after the old uns, and maybe they'll even do the odd job. Dragging a bin here on bin day, waving a tin of WD-40 at the gate, and a quick tighten of a hinge, getting your ear bent about how useless our grandkids are while having a sly cup of tea. You can be a bit cheeky, he says. You also get to fuss 30 dogs a day, so doggy treats in your pocket comes in handy. That barking, snarling, dumb animal wouldn't let you near the gate. Soon becomes your best friend every time it sees you and gets a biscuit. Okay. You also get the odd accidental, not don't go there, mate, sorry, and the odd argument as the kettle comes through the window as you walk past the drive. You come across some people that are maybe slightly worse for wear during the day, should we say, and kids being wonderful. He said, all the flavours of society to keep you amused and entertained. There are, of course, the cons, though, but he didn't go into them today. So what I think he's saying there is there are some advantages. You're going to see some life. It's going to be a life less ordinary. And, along the way, you kind of may be able to help a few people. So, yeah, so obviously there are upsides. Well, there must be, otherwise no one would do it. Redbeard, he said, I did Amazon deliveries a few years ago. The area you delivered in was the same, but the routes varied for each area. Each Amazon depot is responsible for certain postcodes. After a while, they meet up and change things around, i.e. the Sheffield depot may have the Wakefield area one time, another time it may go to the Leeds depot. I am going through a DBS check to work with a DSP, which I think someone's covered that one earlier on. Once the check is complete, I have to do 2 ride-alongs, and then they supply me with a van, and I'm doing my own route. 50% route to start with, then it goes to 75, then it goes to 100. I am currently on benefits, and this is an easy way to get back in the delivery game. Once you get your own van and insurance, sign up with a CX. I can cut down on the multi-drop to just a few days and then do normal career work the rest of the time. So there you go. So it's not as scary as it seems to be made out. First of all, they'll run you with someone, then they'll give you a half a run, then when you get better, they'll give you 3/4 of a run, then they'll give you the full run, and then you're up to speed. And like he says, you don't have to do it every day. With a lot of these firms, you can choose when you want to work. They might not give you a regular route, but you could potentially run Hermes or Amazon or something 3 days a week, work on the CX 3 days a week, wait until those invoices start to roll in, and then slowly push it out of the way. I don't know. I haven't done it. These are just things that you have been kind enough to tell me. Dale Steele says, it depends if you're willing to put the effort in into finding online work. On top of that, you have to sort out your invoicing, which is probably much easier when you go direct to Hermes. He's saying, so if you actually want to be your own courier, there's more work to it. This is going to be much more straightforward on the multi-drop thing. He says, I know people who do good with Amazon, but the days are long, and when you break it down, it's not that great. Can't beat finding your own drops. Multi-job is like being employed with no benefits. I think we're getting the message here, guys. I think it's there. It's easy to get into. It's hard, but you will get paid. There is money in it. Finally, John Gunn. He says, hi Pete, not all companies offer true flexibility. DPD have expectations on days you work, and you have no control over the stops you take, so you don't get the same freedom as being truly self-employed. I'm averaging 110 to 120 stops a day, which is manageable for the route I'm on, but it's a high pressure job. You're up against the clock from the moment you get to the depot, which takes some getting used to. Barrier for entry points are very valid. Can be remarkably easy to get started if you start by working with someone who manages multiple routes, as they provide vans, etc. Learning your route takes time. If you're lucky enough to get a regular one, but we get optimized routes and navigation as part of the package. Optimization is workable, but obviously not suitable for knowing the route. It does mean you can usually run a route successfully, though though, even with no local knowledge. One of the best things that any dropper can get to get their route sorted and get their route sorted, getting into and out of the van, handbrake on, belt off, which hand you grab your scanner with, how quickly you get in and out. All these things will help your flow massively. You can make great mates as well, as you're all in the same boat. It's not an easy life, but it works and it can be a blast. Loving the videos. Thanks much for the advice. Thank you all for taking the time to share that. So this is kind of, the video is kind of aimed at anyone who's doing the Amazon, or who's thinking of doing the Amazon, who's thinking of doing the Hermes. There's some genuine comments from people that have either done it and moved on, or are thinking of doing it. And it strikes me that if you are thinking of doing it, get it sorted. Make your life easier. Get yourself a decent multi-drop app. Get your kit. Get everything ready. Prepare yourself for a baptism of fire. You know, you're going to sort of you're going to be up against it, but if you can get through that initial period, it will get easier. And if you're prepared to get your head down and you're prepared to get a few quid behind you, and then maybe as time goes on, once you've done it, maybe it's time to move on. That's what you guys will seem to be saying. I am just a messenger. I hope this helps. I genuinely do. Anyone who's doing it, and they might go, actually, do you know what? I was thinking of not doing it, but after what you said, I'm going to give it a go. Or actually, I was thinking of doing it, and after what you said, I'm going to work Sainsbury's. See you later, baked potato. The choice at the end of the day is down to you. Like I say, I'm just here to pass the information on. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you're well. Take care. Take money.